Barack won in 2004, I was asked to make a phone call on behalf of Michelle Obama, because as soon as he won the Senate race, she wanted a job either at Northwestern University or the University of Chicago hospitals for $200,000 to $300,000 a year, the wife of the new senator. And I was asked, would you call? And
was she specific about how much she wanted?
yeah. And
she was specific about salary?
Yeah. And I think Northwestern, we should double check this, but my recollection is good. I think Northwestern was willing to pay $200,000 to hire her. This is the wife of the new U.S. senator, and federal money for, Medicaid and Medicare, things like that. And then they got a better offer at the University of Chicago, which is in Hyde Park, where they're from, $300,000, and she ended up working there. And I'd called to help, because you help people in politics, and the guy's wife wants a job, I'll make a phone call. He didn't get it. She didn't get it because of me, but it didn't hurt to have the governor call and say,
the second Obama gets elected, Michelle says, I want a job at one of two hospitals for between $200,000 and $300,000.
That's correct. Yeah. And she ended up working at the University of Chicago Hospital. I'm almost certain $300,000.
Barack Obama, the media darling, the political messiah, the man who could do no wrong. For 15 years, we've been fed a carefully crafted image of the perfect politician with the perfect family and the perfect ethics. But what happens when someone who actually knew him, who worked alongside him in the trenches of Chicago politics, finally tells the truth? What happens when the carefully constructed facade comes crashing down? Rod Blagojevich, the former governor of Illinois, just blew the lid off the Obama myth in a bombshell interview with Tucker Carlson that has the mainstream media scrambling to bury it. Not speculation, not partisan attacks, but firsthand knowledge of how the Obama political machine actually operated. How Michelle Obama demanded a $300,000 hospital job the moment her husband won his Senate seat. How Tony Rezko, the convicted felon, facilitated their mansion purchase in a deal so suspicious it defies innocent explanation. How Obama ruthlessly cut ties with anyone who became a liability, even his pastor of 20 years. This isn't just another political hit job. This is the Chicago political machine exposed from the inside. The same machine that created Barack Obama, packaged him for national consumption, and protected him from scrutiny for over a decade. And what Blagojevich reveals destroys not just Obama's carefully crafted image, but the media's credibility in covering for him all these years. Before I dive into the explosive details Blagojevich revealed to Tucker Carlson, you need to understand something critical about Chicago politics. It's not like politics anywhere else in America. It's a system built on patronage, on personal relationships, on favors given and received. Nothing happens by accident. Nobody rises through the ranks without powerful sponsors and strategic alliances. Barack Obama didn't emerge from this system by accident. He wasn't an outsider who reformed it. He was a product of it, a master practitioner of its dark arts. And the national media, in their desperation to create a political savior, deliberately buried this reality from the American people. Rod Blagojevich was there. He saw it firsthand. And now, with nothing left to lose, he's telling the truth about the real Barack Obama, the man behind the carefully crafted image. Let's start with the bombshell that left Tucker Carlson genuinely shocked: Michelle Obama's $300,000 job demand. According to Blagojevich, the moment Barack won his Senate seat in 2004, Michelle had one priority: leveraging her husband's new power for personal gain. When I was governor first and then Barack won in 2004, I was asked to make a phone call on behalf of Michelle Obama, Blagojevich explained. As soon as he won the Senate race, she wanted a job either at Northwestern University or the University of Chicago hospitals for $200,000 to $300,000 a year. Let that sink in. The wife of a newly elected senator, not yet sworn in with zero accomplishments in office, specifically demanding a six-figure salary from institutions that depend on federal funding. When Tucker asked if she was specific about the amount, Blagojevich confirmed, yeah, she was specific about salary. This isn't how normal job searches work. This is political influence peddling in its rawest form. And it worked. Michelle got exactly what she wanted: a massive promotion and salary bump at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Her pay jumped from $120,000 in 2004 to over $300,000 in 2005, right after her husband became senator and right after the governor made that call. Coincidence? In Chicago politics? Not a chance. But the Michelle Obama job scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. Next comes the Tony Rezko connection, a relationship the media worked overtime to downplay during Obama's rise to power. Tony Rezko wasn't just some random Chicago businessman. He was a major Democratic fundraiser and a key player in the Illinois political scene. And according to Blagojevich, he was really helpful to Obama, far more helpful than the media ever reported. The most blatant example? The notorious mansion deal that should have ended Obama's political career before it really began. Here's what happened. In 2005, the Obamas wanted to purchase a $1.65 million mansion in Chicago's upscale Kenwood neighborhood. But there was a problem. They couldn't afford the package deal the seller wanted, which included an adjacent empty lot. Magically, on the very same day the Obamas closed on their house, Rezko's wife purchased the adjacent empty lot at full price. This despite the fact that Tony Rezko was already under federal investigation at the time. The coordination is so obvious it's laughable. A politically connected developer already under federal scrutiny just happens to solve the Obama family's real estate problem by having his wife buy an empty lot they couldn't afford? And this transaction just happens to close on the exact same day? Obama later admitted this was a boneheaded mistake, political speak for, "I got caught." But the media quickly moved on, protecting their chosen one from the scrutiny any Republican would have faced for such an obviously corrupt arrangement. What makes this story even more damning is the cold-blooded way Obama handled Rezko once he became a liability. As Blagojevich puts it, Obama just ran from him, did nothing to help him, and pretends like he never knew him. This is a pattern with Obama. When Reverend Jeremiah Wright, his pastor of 20 years, became controversial during the 2008 campaign, Obama threw him under the bus without hesitation. Despite the fact that Wright had given Obama the title of his second best-selling book, married Barack and Michelle, and baptized their 2 daughters. As Politico reported at the time, Wright was quickly tossed aside the moment that he turned up, just like Rezko. Just like anyone who threatened the carefully crafted image being sold to the American people. This isn't loyalty. This isn't integrity. This is ruthless political calculation from a man presented to us as somehow above the sordid world of politics. A man who would discard decades-long relationships the moment they became inconvenient to his ambition. But perhaps the most damning part of Blagojevich's interview isn't what he reveals about Obama, but what he exposes about the media's complicity in creating and protecting the Obama myth. What ultimately happened, Blagojevich explains, was when he started rising. They were for political reasons, influencing the media to pretty much lay Tony on me more than Obama. I was more Tony'd up. And Tony was a supporter and a friend, but Obama knew him and loved him longer, and Tony had done more for Obama over the years than he did for me. This is the key point that Americans need to understand. The national media didn't just happen to miss these connections. They deliberately ignored them. They buried them. They focused all attention on Blagojevich's relationship with Rezko while giving Obama a pass for an identical, and by Blagojevich's account, much closer, relationship with the same man. The media just conveniently ignored Rezko's relationship to Obama, Blagojevich states plainly. They would give it very little coverage, and it was all about me and Tony. This wasn't journalism. This was political protection. This was the media deciding which narrative they wanted to push and which facts they needed to bury to make that narrative stick. The implications of Blagojevich's revelations extend far beyond just rewriting our understanding of Barack Obama's rise to power. They force us to reconsider his entire presidency and the policies he pursued. Consider the Affordable Care Act, which delivered millions of new patients and billions in federal dollars to hospitals like the University of Chicago Medical Center, where Michelle Obama received that $300,000 salary. Was this bold health reform or the ultimate insider payoff to the institutions that had taken care of the Obama family on their way up? Consider Obama's decision to bail out the banks during the financial crisis while millions of ordinary Americans lost their homes. Was this necessary economic stabilization or the natural reflex of a politician who had always been comfortable serving powerful interests? Consider the Russia investigation that consumed the first years of the Trump administration, an investigation we now know was built on flimsy evidence that Obama's own intelligence agencies had serious doubts about. Was this legitimate counterintelligence work, or Obama's parting gift to ensure his successor would be crippled from day one? These aren't conspiracy theories. They're legitimate questions raised by understanding who Barack Obama really was and how he really operated. The truth that Rod Blagojevich just exposed and that the media spent 15 years trying to hide. The most disturbing aspect of this entire story isn't Barack Obama's behavior. Politicians have been cutting deals and leveraging influence for centuries. The truly frightening part is how completely the media abandoned their fundamental duty to tell the American people the truth. Think about it. For 8 years, this man occupied the most powerful office on earth. He made decisions that affected the lives of every American and countless people around the world. And yet, we were never allowed to see who he really was. We were fed a carefully crafted image, protected from inconvenient truths, and branded as racist if we asked too many questions. This isn't just a failure of journalism, it's a betrayal of the basic trust that allows a democracy to function. How can voters make informed decisions when the Fourth Estate, the institution explicitly charged with providing them accurate information, deliberately conceals the truth to serve its own political preferences? Rod Blagojevich isn't a perfect messenger. He served time for his own corruption charges, specifically for attempting to sell Obama's vacant Senate seat after the 2008 election. But that's precisely what makes his testimony so powerful. He was there. He was part of the same political machine. He saw how it worked from the inside. And unlike the journalists who abandoned their professional ethics to protect Obama, Blagojevich has no reason to lie at this point. His political career is over. He's already paid the price for his actions. He's simply telling the truth about a system he was part of and a politician he knew personally. The fact that his account aligns perfectly with the documented facts, Michelle's salary jump, the Rezko property deal, Obama's pattern of discarding inconvenient relationships, only adds to its credibility. This isn't speculation. It's confirmation of what many suspected but could never prove. This story transcends partisan politics. It's not about whether Obama's policies were right or wrong. It's about whether the American people were given the truth about the man making those policies. It's about whether our system of checks and balances, including the critical check of an honest press, functioned as it should. The evidence is clear. It did not. The media made a conscious decision to protect Barack Obama from scrutiny, to bury inconvenient facts about his rise to power, to attack anyone who asked uncomfortable questions. They sacrificed their fundamental mission on the altar of their preferred narrative. And they're still doing it today. As Blagojevich points out, even now, tons of information have surfaced about Russiagate and how Obama pushed for a fresh intelligence report tying Trump to Russia just weeks before leaving office. Yet the MSM barely touched it. This isn't journalism. This is propaganda. And a democracy cannot survive on a diet of propaganda. It needs truth, however uncomfortable or inconvenient that truth might be. The tragedy of this situation extends beyond just one president or one media failure. It strikes at the heart of our ability to govern ourselves. How many other politicians are operating exactly as Obama did, secure in the knowledge that a friendly media will bury their questionable dealings? How many other Michelle Obamas are calling in political favors for six-figure jobs? How many other Tony Rezkos are facilitating suspicious property deals for rising political stars? We don't know, and that's the point. We don't know because the institutions charged with telling us have decided certain politicians deserve protection rather than scrutiny. They've decided certain narratives matter more than the truth. As Blagojevich puts it, with a weary knowledge of someone who's seen how the system really works, it's never clean. And the moment you peel back the layers, the people who look polished on TV usually end up revealing themselves as self-interested operators who care far more about climbing the ladder than fixing anything. That's the reality of politics, not just in Chicago, but across America. The difference is that in most cases, we at least had a media willing to do the peeling. With Obama, they decided to add more layers instead. The American people placed an enormous amount of faith in Barack Obama. They believed he represented a new kind of politics, cleaner, more ethical, more idealistic. They believed he would transcend the sordid dealings of the past and usher in a new era of transparency and accountability. That faith was misplaced. Not because Obama was uniquely corrupt, he wasn't, but because he was exactly what his background suggested he would be, a product of the Chicago political machine, skilled in its arts, comfortable with its compromises, and ruthless when his interest required it. The real betrayal came not from Obama, who simply did what politicians have always done, but from the media that sold us a false image while burying the inconvenient truth. That treated scrutiny of one man as off-limits while subjecting his opponents to the most aggressive examination. That abandoned their sacred duty to inform in favor of their desire to influence. If this breakdown of Rod Blagojevich's bombshell interview opened your eyes to the reality behind the Obama myth, hit that subscribe button right now. We're going to keep bringing you the stories others won't touch, the clips others won't show, and the truth others try to hide. And while you're at it, check out our new merch store. The link is in the description. Every purchase helps us continue bringing you stories that the mainstream media tries to bury. The truth about Barack Obama's rise to power isn't just a historical curiosity. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when the media decides certain politicians are above scrutiny, when they choose narrative over truth, when they transform from watchdogs to lapdogs. Democracy requires an informed electorate. It requires a press willing to ask tough questions regardless of party or ideology. It requires the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable or inconvenient. Rod Blagojevich just gave us a glimpse of that truth. The question now is whether we'll demand more of it or whether we'll continue to accept the carefully crafted narratives sold to us by those who have repeatedly proven they cannot be trusted. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep thinking. Because in a world where the institutions charged with telling you the truth have abandoned that mission, critical thinking isn't just a skill, it's a necessity for survival.